Hello, everybody. My name is Dani, and I am with Realistic Intentionality with another podcast. Today, we have an incredible guest. Her and I were just yapping for probably like 20 minutes without formally recording, and I was like, no, wait. I need to get this on camera and on the mics. So this is TrishB with TrishB Healing.
Yes, that's me. Hi,
she aligned so synchronistically to come on this podcast and to talk about her ways of healing intentionally and how she has came into her own power, and now she uses her own power to help others heal and step in and embody their highest selves. So truly, she is a kindred spirit. She is a soul family, and I'm so excited to have her on.
I know. I'm so excited to be here. Thank
yes.
you.
So Trish, tell us all about you. Seriously, dive in.
Okay, so the first message I want to get across to everybody is we literally met on Facebook yesterday.
Yeah.
And we're recording today.
Yeah.
So what's meant for you will truly not pass you by ever. You don't have to go seeking for it. It will find you.
Yes.
In the right time.
Yeah. And even if you think it's unrealistic, it will happen, because this is literally the week of Christmas. And I was like, oh, I need a guest for Christmas before Christmas happens. And I don't know anyone because I just moved to this state. And literally, Trish and I hit it off. Her logo looks like an artwork I just made also. And we immediately just like got so in it. I was like, okay, this is meant to happen. So you guys are part of a completely divine event happening right now.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like, I don't know where to start.
I know. We probably yapped about everything we possibly could have within like 10 minutes, bouncing off each other. So yeah, just tell me how you have came to what your business is and what got you there.
Okay. So, my business, it's TrishB Healing. I'll show my shirt then. I'm actually self-promoting, which I didn't mean to do. It just happened.
It's awesome. It's a good shirt.
Yeah, it's just my logo. So anyways, yeah, so I am a tarot reader, shadow worker. I'm a astrologist. I dabble a tiny bit in human design, but essentially I am a spiritual coach, and I use my services and my business to help mainly like shadow. I can do shadow mentoring, but I use my services to help others. Tarot is the one that's doing the most business right now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do. I want to essentially combine modalities, human design, astrology, everything together to make a complete package for somebody who, might be wondering. I don't want to say I'm for beginners, because sometimes the stuff that comes out of my mouth is a little much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
you're easily digestible, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you can facilitate tough conversations.
It's a great word.
Yeah, tough concepts for people who may not be so fluent in the language.
Right. Yeah. I can be very woo-woo, but a lot like we were talking about, like I can dumb it down because not everyone wants that.
Yeah.
They don't all want the woo-woo.
No. Not everyone's ready for a full brick-to-face awakening of all their traumas and, and shadow core issues.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, babe, maybe you should just like give yourself a hug for a sec.
Yeah. So, I mean, my tarot, when I do, one of my main services is my one tarot read, and I do channeled messages and anything that wants to come in as an intuitive. And a lot of times that's a good jumping point for people, because a lot of people that are on the fence of like, oh, is this real? Is this not real? Because there's so much fake or not real out there. It gives them, because I don't ask for anything. I don't ask for a picture. I don't ask for a birthday. I don't need anything to get into your energy. I need nothing but just your
point awareness.
Yeah.
Point of awareness. Truly. Like if you are aware that someone is in need, that's all you need to know.
Yeah. And all I need is your approval and you're like, you say, yes, you can enter my energy and I'm in it.
Yep.
So it's like, and sometimes it takes a couple, like sometimes with tarot, it takes a little bit to tap in because spirit is not ready. You're not ready for it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it takes a couple, like a week or so. But yeah.
Now, when did you start doing tarot specifically? Like, when was your first deck?
Okay, so my first deck, I started reading tarot in 2020, maybe 2021 actually, because I would say my full-on awakening in 2020, and that was after getting out of a narcissistic relationship, which was the trigger. I had my first tarot read I had my first tarot read where I had someone read for me. And I was actually still battling getting out of that relationship at that time. And the woman said to me, and I'll never forget it, she said, okay, when I get these 2 cards, I always ask someone if they know they have gifts. And when I get this other card, I ask, why aren't they using them? And that triggered something in me where I was like, okay, now I have permission.
Yeah.
Because I've always known I've had an inner knowing, claircognizance for the woo-woos, which is an inner knowing. You just know things. And I've always had that. But because of the conditioning I've been through where society and everyone's like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong.
Right. And the narcissistic relationship, which is all built on belittling and trying to limit your power.
Right. And that's like been a habit of mine. It's been continuous my entire life. And once she said that, something clicked where I was like, okay, I can do this now.
Yeah.
Like it's my time. And that's where I found my first mentor. Her name's Amy Belair. I'm going to drop names. She's amazing. She's a really good initiative, like a person that initiates someone into awakening, because she's amazing. And then I was on her podcast in 2023, which I definitely manifested, but I listened to her podcast for a while, and then I actually worked with her. And when I was working with her is when I started picking up tarot. And I started really small. I got a singing bowl because I was like, I need a singing bowl. So I got my first singing bowl when I got my deck. And what I started on was actually a symbols deck. It wasn't even a tarot deck.
Oh,
which
okay.
is it's really interesting because they're really kind of different it's a totally different energy to read from, and I still actually use that deck for my shadow messages.
Yeah, I think my first deck was an oracle deck, which was Egyptian symbology.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's cool, but it had like it just had like so many different types of cards within like different systems.
Yes.
And like different interactions. It was really a lot for my first deck.
Yeah, that's how the symbols one was. I was like, this is it. I was like, whatever. I resonated with it. I loved it. But I use it now mainly for shadow reads. Like, it's my shadow deck. It's like my go-to shadow deck. And shadow is like fears. For those of you who don't know what the shadow is, we'll probably get into that.
I do feel like shadow work is kind of becoming trendy.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Like I see like TikToks all the time of people like, oh, I'm doing my shadow work journal. And I'm just like, damn.
I know. I don't. I don't journal. I know. I wish I could journal, and I can't.
I actually have 9 journals filled, but it's not like
good for you.
Dear diary,
No.
My day was good. It's like, no, it is random bullshit.
Like scrying, just like.
Yeah, just, I also use it as like a planner. So like if I have something I need to remember, random poetry, random just doodles. When I took the formatting out of it, it made it easier because as a kid, I could never finish notebooks. I would get them constantly and then just like, I'm going to do it for 2 days, put away.
Done. Yeah.
No, I had to take the formality out of it. But yeah, journaling was a battle for me to accomplish.
Yeah, I can't do it. I try, and I'm just like, I verbally journal. And that's, I think, what I do with my TikToks. So I'm on all platforms at TrishB Healing, just plugging myself for a second.
TrishB Healing.
Yeah.
You can find her everywhere.
Yeah. And when I started TikTok, I was so against it because I hate social media. Like, I read on Facebook and in free reading groups is where I read there. But like when I do my TikTok, it's almost like a journaling for me.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just gets it out. But going back, I'm like jumping around. I'm sorry.
No, honestly, like we're just gonna bounce off each other, and everyone can just enjoy the ride.
Okay, yeah, I know. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
Little
you're
ADHD. I probably get that from my daughter.
No, we're good. We're good.
But okay, so back to the tarot. So yeah, I got my symbols deck, and then when I first started, I just did it for like friends and family, and I think I started with myself. And what a tarot reader will tell you, it's so hard for us to read for ourselves for some reason, and I think it's like a bias because you really have to be intentional with how you're reading it. You don't want to like look at the card and be like, okay, well, this is a good thing for me, and then see it's something negative and be like, no. Where like everyone wants to do that, and it's like, I can't read it like that.
Oh yeah, when I do readings for myself, there's always, first off, a shit ton of cards that come out. Always. It's always like, oh, another 13 like, card crap. Reading. Like one time
that happens to me too.
Dude, one time I had 26 cards, and I was like, are you
like, why are we doing this? I asked for like 5. What's happening?
Right. Because they're like, listen, we're just gonna have a whole on chat right now. And so like, first off, it's just like exhausting. And each card, I just like, it calls me out on my bullshit, and I'm just like, okay, thanks. Glad.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for that. And then it goes on to something hopeful, and then I'm like, oh, word? Okay. Okay. And then the next one is like more bullshit, and I'm just like,
we're doing this again.
I feel like when you're reading for yourself, they're like, oh, straight to the source.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah. It's like, we're going there.
Yeah.
Whether you want it or not.
Yeah. And so as someone who does readings for other people, and you also channel, you probably get flooded with information, and then you have to like delicately filter it and curate it for them. What is that process like?
So essentially, when I'll be in someone's energy, and it's funny, as soon as someone kind of either purchases a reading from me, like when they pay for it right away, or if I decide, like I reach out and I'm like, hey, I got a call to do this for you, and they give the approval, I'm kind of immediately already in their energy. And sometimes it doesn't always come through right away, but when it does, it is like a flood. And I just write down everything, and I kind of write it down in bullet points, and this is kind of like the scrying that I was talking about. So scrying is when you just write stuff down. I have a notebook that I use at home when I'm intentionally trying to tap into someone's energy, when I'm going to do a tarot reading in my space, but I'll get information anywhere. It doesn't have to be at home.
Right.
So when I get that, whatever means I have to write down the information, I just need to get it out, because it'll just come in. And whatever comes in, I take. I don't question anything. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to write this down. It might seem ridiculous, because sometimes I've done readings for people and I'm like, I hope this is resonating, because I have no idea what I'm saying right now. And sometimes when I'm in flow, in full channeling, because I'll be doing cards and I'll channel while I'm in flow during the read, and I'm like, I have no idea what the hell I just said.
Right.
And then I always watch them back, because how I do it is I do them on YouTube. I record links, and then I send the links so they can always go back and look at it. And sometimes I'll rewatch and I'm like, oh my God, like, I hope this is making sense to people.
Right.
But I don't what's the word? Censor myself anymore. Whatever wants to flow out, I just let it out. And then most people, even when I do crystal healing, because I'm a certified crystal healer too. And so even when I'm doing a healing, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm getting a pain in my right shoulder. And then I'll send it and they'll be like, oh my God, I was having a pain there. And I'm like, okay. Like, so I've learned through my own discernment and my own growth not to censor anything that comes through. Sorry, I keep hitting the mic.
No, yeah, honestly, they're just asking for it.
I know. But I've learned not to censor anything that comes through anymore, because that's my intuition working.
No,
that's the information flowing.
Absolutely. No, there's been so many times where I get this like feeling, and I get this like, now I'm a compulsive thinker, right? And so with compulsive thinking, there's tons of intrusive thoughts, right? And it's been so hard to navigate my own like beliefs in intuition and beliefs in channeling with the psychological fact that I also am an obsessive compulsive thinker, and my brain likes to just compulsively think of thoughts, and trying to discern between the two is like a task and a half. But I have realized that when I do speak out of pocket, when I kind of just say what it is to a person, they'll be like, how did you know that? Or like, holy shit, like I needed to hear that. And it's because you were meant to say that for a reason. There was an intention for you to have that, and people need to hear it, and not everyone speaks their mind. And so when you are someone who is inclined to say what they're thinking, like it is a gift to the people around you, truly. Like the people who get to interact with you are blessed because you are giving them the information that so many others are either withholding or not receiving on their behalf.
Absolutely. And one other thing that goes along with that is that a lot of people, it's like almost like sugarcoating. They feel like it has to look a certain way. It has to come out a certain way. It has to be rehearsed. And like, that's one thing when I do content, I don't wear makeup. I show up how I show up because I feel like it's not how you show up. It's what you're delivering,
right,
and how you're delivering it. And
for sure.
Like it's authentic. It's all about authenticity, and I think authenticity is a huge thing right now that's coming out. Where like, and a lot of the fake woo woo is kind of going away because it's funny, we were talking about this earlier. Like the whole all love and light, it's not that.
No,
it's not all love and light. There is no light without shadow,
right?
And the darkness, and people don't necessarily want to go there. And it's like that's tough. Like you have to be ready to do that.
Oh, for sure. On my blog, when talking about how people need to step into their intentions and embody what they want for their life, I also wrote a whole blog post about how it will trigger healing. It will trigger things to come up. It will be difficult because when you are attempting to embody your desires and embody your intentions, you're going to feel the things that are pulling you back. The belief systems that unfortunately childhood trauma may have implanted or past relationships. You're going to feel, the core traumas that you feel like you can't move past. You're going to feel every single roadblock, and you're going to need to persevere through it. And a lot of people are inclined to just move away from it. Like, oh, I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to address it. I'm just going to ignore it. And that's not how you handle that.
No.
You need to look it in the eye, and you have to accept it. First off, acceptance is the first key, because then you can actually look at it.
Yeah, go there.
Take a moment to like feel what's happening, and then move through the process of trying to heal it, transmute it, use it for your benefit, whatever. And I wrote on my blog post that a lot of my issues I've broken down as like, when I'm doing healing, it's either intentional surface superficial healing, where I'm like just fine tuning little things like, oh, this food gives me a stomach ache, I'm not gonna eat this anymore. Then there's like the unintentional belief healing, where it's like something makes me realize, oh, I have a negative belief holding me back. It kind of just, it's a light bulb moment.
Yep, comes out of nowhere.
Right. And it's just like, oh, okay, like I guess this is something that I've been going through. And then there's a third type of healing in my own journey, where it's like, oh, it's the deep core,
the ego death healing.
Right, the unexpected. It's like, it's not necessarily intentional or unintentional. It is just, no matter, you can know you have a trauma inside you, but it will always hit you unexpectedly.
Yeah. That's what we call a tower moment.
Yes.
In the tarot.
Yes. Yep.
And let me tell you, they suck.
Dude, whenever I pull a tower in my own readings, I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah. It's like, I hate this, but at the same time, I know it's going to be good because the star is going to come out.
Or like Wheel of Fortune in reverse.
Yeah.
It's like,
World in reverse too.
Yeah, or a 5 of anything.
Yeah.
It's like, Great.
Sorry, we're talking tarot now. Yeah, it's a shake to your system, but in a good way because it's going to lead to better things. It's like it's almost like the death card where it's like a renewal. It's not necessarily just
Yep. And then Wheel of Fortune in upright, it's not.
It's like movement.
Yeah, but then sometimes when it's reverse.
Positive movement. Yeah, reverse is it depends on the context. Like again, I don't read tarot traditionally like how, oh, this card means this. It's all how it's surrounded and how it shows up.
It interacts.
Yeah. But traditionally the Wheel of Fortune is all about like forward movement, but in reverse it's like halt. Like you're going backwards.
Right. And then the 5 of Swords, 5 of Wands, 5 of Pentacles.
5 of anything is conflict. It's some kind of conflict, and that's numerology too. So I do mix a little bit of numerology in. When I learned astrology, my astrologer who taught me, she was amazing. She mixes numerology in with it. Ooh. So the degrees of where your planets are means something. That. Yeah, it was right up my alley.
My numerology is a 3, and like
I'm a 6 life path.
Okay, see that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, no, 3's like. And even when I like was a kid, dude, 3 was my lucky number.
I'm resonating with 3 right now. Like I think 3 is one of my numbers.
Yeah, what's the date today? Is it the 20? I don't know.
Oh my god, I have my watch on.
Who knows? I don't know.
22nd.
I know.
Was 22nd. 22nd. Yesterday was 21st.
But we started talking on the 21st.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
21.
Yeah, there we go.
That means stuff.
These numbers we could add them, but I'm not good at math. So
I know I'm not doing that either. No,
I'm not.
But 222 partnership.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Seen that?
There we go.
We're
doing
forgive
it.
us. We're going.
Yeah. From the moment we like met on the street, seriously, like an hour ago, I was just like, yep, and like just it's been nonstop. Like TrishB is amazing, you guys. Like if you want healing from someone who can vibe, hit up TrishB.
I'm from people that get readings from me. They're like, "Oh my god, it's like you're my best friend," and I'm like, "Yeah," because I just talk like this during readings. I don't try and. Well, this is it. No, this is me. This is how I show up to readings. I just talk like I'm talking to a friend.
Yeah,
that's how I vibe.
That's kind of how I just exist always.
Same, yeah.
And like I just did a poetry reading.
Oh,
like yeah.
I could never.
Oh, it's interesting. I like, I'll just write poetry, and I go to these poetry workshops because the people are the coolest. Like you will never feel judged in a poetry workshop. Yeah, because it's like, oh, a poetry workshop, like people, but the people there are amazing. And I did a reading of like a pretty like dark poem, and they're just like, you read that so bubbly and like fine and like good. And I was like, yeah, I kind of just am like that. Like I'll say the darkest thing you've ever heard
with a smile.
Yeah, just like a Dr. Seuss book, and it's like it really takes people
aback. It's like reading Stephen King and like Dr. Seuss energy.
Imagine if I like was the like the Audible reader for like the horrible Dante's Inferno.
And then Dante did this.
Yeah, on the 7th circle of hell.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
I love that story. By the way,
the Dante's Inferno. I love that story.
I love that.
That's amazing. All right.
Shadow man.
Very cool. So you do crystal healing, you do tarot, and now tell me about your shadow work.
Okay.
Now, what got you into that specifically?
So, I don't. This is not my personal saying, but I pick up stuff from people that I watch. I watch a couple YouTubers that I love, and they're tarot readers or energy healers. And one thing that someone says often is that you want to, when you're trying to start a business or you want to help people, you start where you know the most, okay, where you've had the most experience. I have had 3 major shadow events in my life, I want to say. One was very recent. My first one was actually so my first experience, I don't want to say it might not have been shadow, but it was preceding, and it was like an awakening experience, was when I conceived my daughter. And this is about knowing your body. When I listened to your podcast with Dylan, and when you guys were talking about, when he was talking about yoga specifically, I did a lot of yoga before I got pregnant, and yoga is very not like that you guys were talking about. It does teach you about knowing yourself.
Yep.
It gets you really in tune with your body. It gets you really in tune with everything. And I knew the moment I conceived because I felt off. The moment, it was bizarre. And I did not really want a kid. I was not in a position to have a child. Like, it was nothing like that. I was 30 when I got pregnant. So I wasn't super young. I wasn't like a teen mom. I was anything like that. I was an adult. And the guy that actually was with her, I'm a single parent, so her father's not involved at all. He never has been, never will be. It just whatever. And he was a drug addict. And when I conceived, I had an experience, and I talk about it on my other podcast, where I don't want to get too into this, but I feel like I had a soul walk-in. And I don't know how to explain that. Like, I was not, if you've ever listened to people talk about near-death experiences, a lot of times they'll talk about being like a light being and feeling this crazy feeling of overwhelming love. That's exactly what I felt. So I don't know if I died and came back. I don't know what it was, but I saw two lights when I was just in this space, and I felt this overwhelming sense of love, and I didn't ever want it to, it just happened, and I don't know how to explain it, and it just felt like I'd never wanted it to end. And then I woke up, and then I'm assuming at that point I was pregnant.
Yep.
But after that, when I actually was going through pregnancy is when I went through an ego death. And that was tough because that brought up a lot of shadow. And that's when, so an ego death essentially is when you're faced with looking at yourself to a point where you're completely broken down. There's nothing there. You feel like you're dying because a part of you is dying. And you have to like face that truth. And my whole thing, and I still struggle with this, is self-worth and value. And what I had to look at was what I realized that when I came, I was 12 weeks pregnant, 3 months before I actually came out of denial and admitted to myself I was pregnant. Okay.
Yep.
So those of you, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Like, that's long. That's almost through your first trimester. I want to say
that is almost to the point where you would find out the gender.
I did, yeah. My friend's like, you have to go find out for sure, and I'm like, so she took me to Planned Parenthood so I could go and get tested, and it came back positive. And I reached out to the dad, and he literally said to me, "Why are you trying to ruin my life?"
Yep.
And I was like, okay, but I never had any intention of him being involved, so it wasn't like I didn't hold any expectations towards him, and a lot of people did not understand that. And I had to face a lot of criticism externally from people like, well, why aren't you going for support, or why aren't you doing this? I'm like, I don't need that. Like, this isn't about him. I made this decision. This is about me. And when you realize you're carrying another life, or you make that decision to like, okay, I'm going to take this responsibility on, you're forced to look inward and realize like, holy shit, like, this is a big deal. Like, I don't feel like I can do this. And it's like, I had to work through this whole tearing down of how I pictured myself, and like, I'm not good enough for this. There's no way I'll ever be able to do this. And like, it was literally like a death of like who I was, because you change and you grow. And that was literally my entire pregnancy. And it's one thing when you have, your family there, but it's not a partner. It's not the same thing. And I think that was a big thing for me, where like, you can do this. You are strong enough. You can make this decision. You chose this. Now do it.
Yep.
And that was like my first real shadow experience, which I didn't realize until much, much later, like
Right.
when I was going through awakening. I mean, I started going through awakening at 17, but it didn't really hit me until now. That was the first thing. And then I wasn't really fully awakened then. So I had my daughter, and she's definitely a being of some kind. I'm telling you, she's wild. She's had a near-death experience already when she was 2. But she was definitely one of my biggest catalysts for awakening, I would say.
And I wanted to take a quick moment to thank today's sponsor, as they are very special and they are one of the most incredible businesses I've ever gotten a chance to work with, and that is Origin Salon. Origin Salon is located at 430 Penn Avenue in West Reading, Pennsylvania, and they offer not just a salon experience, but a complete soul renewal experience. It was delivered as an opportunity by the universe and has become a place of rebirth and spiritual growth. The salon has grown into a place where women, men, and people of all backgrounds come together for dynamic conversations, share their truths, and reveal their vulnerabilities in a safe environment. Origin is a place that embraces healed women as its service providers who pass on their joy and wisdom to others while helping them feel beautiful inside and out. Origin is not just about hair, nails, and skin. It's a hive of healing women where everyone can be their truest, most authentic self in a safe environment. They laugh, they dance, they sing, they cry, and they also do hair, nails, and skin, and sometimes they'll even read some tarot. So pollinate your soul and join the hive at Origin Salon. You can find their website at Origin, ORIGEN, salon.com. Again, it is Origin, ORIGEN, salon.com. You can find them on all the social media platforms, and they are located at 430 Penn Avenue in West Reading, Pennsylvania. Thank you so much, Origin, for sponsoring this episode. I'm so grateful to work with such an intentional and amazing business such as yourself.
I've done a lot of shadow work. Like, I don't want to get too into it, but there's been experiences where I feel like sometimes people will talk about experiencing not necessarily ghosts, but like entities. I'm not going to get into this too much, but like negative entities.
Yes. So TrishB was on the podcast Third Eye Awakening.
Yeah, with Amy Belair.
Yep. So you can look that up to hear her talk more in depth. It's incredible. I was listening to it to prep for this podcast. So if you are really into this kind of like shadow work, entities, spirituality, the esoteric kind of stuff, definitely watch the Third Eye Awakening episode with TrishB. Very good.
Yeah, I don't know which episode it is, but it's on my Facebook. If you guys follow me,
it was April of 2023.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, April 2023.
I just scrolled through.
It's like 300 and some, I think, the episode. I forget. But it's linked in my Facebook. But so I think there's like a whole thing in there about manifestations of shadow and everything, and how that comes into play. And then most recently, I had another experience, which I'm like, I don't know why it just left me right now, but apparently I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, you're not meant to talk about it. That's
but
fine.
The most recent one has to do with, and this is going to get into a little bit of twin flame,
which we were talking very in depth about, because I have lots of opinions on twin flame.
As do I, and I really for a long time questioned this whole idea of what a twin flame was, but it's become very trendy right now. So I feel like it's kind of like we have to talk about it, I think.
Yeah, so the concept of a twin flame, it's almost similar to what like the soulmate kind of concept, in that a twin flame is one spirit split in half that is meant to come back together for massive, like, an exponential growth for the two beings who reunite as one. And so there's, the masculine and the feminine. Not that necessarily needs to be a male and female, but there's just a masculine energy and a feminine energy of it.
Yeah. And I think what people need to realize with this dynamic, or what people talk about, I'm in agreement with you, where I don't think it's what they talk about necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more on the mindset of like, one person embodies the masculine, person embodies the feminine, and it has nothing to do with gender. It's just how you embody these energies. And it is not an easy dynamic, people. This is not something where you come together and you're like, oh, we're in love, we're twin flames. No. This is a tumultuous. I don't even know. Whatever. That's the word that.
What's the word we said the other? Turbulent. Turbulent.
There you go.
Turbulent,
it's a turbulent relationship that can extend for years
Ugh.
with no resolution. But what it does is it pushes you into growth, whether you're ready for it or not. And I've just come back into union with who I truly believe to be my twin flame. And it's been like an 8-year-long experience. My daughter was like 6 months old when I met him.
Mm-hmm.
She's 8 now. She's going to be 9 soon. And we just reconnected for probably the 5th time. It is not easy. And it is very, like, I honestly didn't even think he wanted to talk to me anymore.
Yeah.
Because
that does happen a lot.
It's been like so long. And it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. In my case, it is, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. We were talking about that. We were talking about how we believe it's like, it's such a trendy topic that everyone's like talking about it. And like before we started the podcast, we literally were like, I was like, I don't think it has to be romantic. She's like, oh no, I don't either. And I was like, I also don't think it's like a happily ever after situation. It's like, no, it is honestly like the thing about growth is that growth does happen from happy success, lovey-dovey stuff. It does. You can grow from that. But pain, turbulence, restriction, struggle, that forces you to grow in ways that the comfort will not. And so with the whole twin flame dynamic, trying to come together with someone that you feel such an immense connection. Like the twin flame connection is unreal. Like it feels like time stops and not a cheesy rom-com way. No, it feels like time stops because literally like your brain, you're not overthinking things. Everything is silent and you're just in the moment and everything feels aligned. And it feels like good until it's not.
Yeah.
It's, like
the highs are as good as bad as the lows.
Right. And it's almost because that state cannot exist in this realm. It cannot, and like you cannot just stay in a happy little lovey-dovey bubble. And so the trying to keep chasing that and then like getting pushed away from it. And it is honestly
it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. And with my twin, I just call him my twin. He's not at the he's not at the knowing level that I am yet. He's getting there and he has his own he's had his own awakenings, I think, but he still doesn't want to process his own shadow necessarily. Which is a struggle for me because I'm like, I see it and I have to shut up.
Yeah.
Because he's not ready.
Yeah.
I just have to work through it with him. And that is the role of the divine feminine, to show compassion for her masculine, no matter how much you want to strangle them sometimes.
Yep.
But we reconnected this year. We went a whole year without communication and no contact. And
contact is like a major term. Like anytime you see twin flame, it's
no
always
contact,
like separation, no contact, union. Those are always like the buzzwords for it. And it's because it's turbulent. It's always like,
it's hard. It's not easy. Like we've gone through like I said, it's like our 4th or 5th time like coming back together. But every time it's like you have that reunion moment and it feels, and then literally like a week or 2 later, you're back in it and it's like F, you know what I mean? But I feel like this last year is when I did a lot of shadow work. And the thing is, you get through a period of shadow work and you're like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm good. No, No, because then just more.
There's
more unraveling of the shadow, more unraveling of fears. And what I've come to realize, and I'm not the first one that said this, but there's only two emotions in life, love and fear. Mm-hmm. There is no anger stems from fear. Mm-hmm. So like every time I get angry, and this goes back to intention, like the intentional living, every time that I'm triggered by my masculine now, I think to myself, because essentially everything that we're experiencing externally is something that's going on internally. Mm-hmm. They're just a mirror. Your external world is a mirror of what's going on internally for you. So anytime I get angry now, I think to myself, and this is also a form of meditation. For those of you who like don't think you can meditate, it's not that much. Like you don't have to sit in lotus pose and just like meditate in a quiet room. Yeah. Like my mind is constantly going. I'm meditating all the time.
Meditation is the mindfulness of taking the moment, taking your thoughts and being aware of.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's all it is.
You can do it while washing the dishes, showering, just hanging out.
Yeah. And so anytime I'm confronted, it's like I'm in the moment and I'm like thinking to myself, oh my God, why is this triggering me right now? Like, why am I reacting like this? What's going on? So I consciously am always thinking what internally could be causing this? Mm-hmm. What in me is causing this reaction right now? Because that is the point of the union. Mm-hmm. That's the point. And here's the thing, if you're in conflict with somebody, look within. Mm-hmm. Look to see why. Yep. Because it's all internal. And so I disconnected with him for a year. Like we broke up last middle of November, I want to say. And I connected with another person who really reconnected me with my inner child. And the reason why I disconnected from my masculine was because I wanted to stop drinking. I got the message, like drinking I was borderline abusive. Like it was getting to the point where it was like alcohol abuse. Mm-hmm. And I had an experience with my daughter a couple years ago that could have gone very horribly wrong. Mm-hmm. Thank God it didn't. And it involved drinking. And at the end of last year, I was just like, I need to stop. Like, I'm just going to stop. And I decided to stop drinking. And, I've been sober now since then. So
congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, that was the ego death part of that.
Oh,
getting
sure.
through that.
Yeah.
And, when I decided to stop drinking, and my partner, my twin, is a drinker. Like I would consider him a functional alcoholic. Mm-hmm. And so just reconnecting with that energy, when we did reconnect, I was kind of a little bit fearful of that. Like, I don't want to fall back into patterns, which I don't think I would have, but like, it's still being around him. And like, I see the fear and what's going on with him. And mm-hmm. It's like, you got to work through this, but he's just not ready yet, I don't think.
Right.
But when I was away from him that year, I connected with somebody. And the other thing is I'm extremely physical. So one of my love languages is physical touch. I connect very highly, like touching, like mm-hmm. physical contact.
Oh yeah, even when we met, you're like, "Can I give you a hug?"
Yeah, and
yeah.
I'm not like, I don't go in, but when I feel the energy, I will.
Yeah,
like physical, like connection with people, and so I, for a long time, had an issue when I was younger with my self-value and like sex. Mm-hmm. So I would always lead with sex. And when I connected with this other person.
Same.
Yeah. When I connected with this other person, I'm not going to give too much information about him to, keep his identity.
Right.
Secret. But he was a virgin. So he was not doing that.
Right.
And I'm like, what the fuck? What? I'm also like a huge anime nerd. I have been for my entire life.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm a huge nerd. And I kind of got away from it after I had my daughter. Like, I used to cosplay and do all this fun stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, I used to. It was so fun.
So you must like Avatar: Last Airbender.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily anime, but like
it's fun. Yes, I know of it. Yes.
I also like Oron High School Host Club.
Yeah, that's anime.
I also do stuff like that. That alone, like, that says a lot. If someone says they've watched Oron High School Host Club, it's like, oh, now you know.
You know.
Yeah. If you know, you know.
Yeah, so I used to love anime, and I've loved it for so long. Like I was 15. Like I'm an old anime nerd.
Wait, I have to ask. Okay,
Yeah.
just because if you haven't watched it, you need to. Have you ever seen The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya?
No, but I've heard of it.
You, as a person with these interests, you need to watch
I'll
that.
watch it.
Okay,
I'll make it
I
my next
watched
one.
that when I was 11, and it was formative. Okay, and it's only like one season, and then there's yeah,
Some of them are like that.
yeah, and honestly, I'm just gonna tell you because it's horrible. There is 8 episodes. I think it's 8, 7 or 8. That it's the same events going over and over and over.
That's like
but with slight differences.
That's like the Magical Girls. Have you ever watched that?
No.
It's, oh my god, I can never pronounce it. But there's like this. Oh my god, now we're being anime nerds for a hot second. Just relax. So it's like this magical cat that comes in as a spirit animal or something, and these girls give a piece of their souls to become witches or whatever. But it's just this Groundhog Day experience for this girl that can never get out of it, but it is awful. It's like 6 episodes. It's like the saddest thing ever, but you can't stop watching it.
What are these animes doing? Like,
I don't know, but I love it. It's so good, but
so
I want to
the other
watch
one.
it, but it's so sad. Like, I want to watch it again because it's so good, but it's so sad.
Oh my
it's
God.
like Magica, Modica, something like that. I forget. I can never pronounce it, but it's so good. It's so good.
That is so funny. I'll watch that if you watch
I'll
the
watch
Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.
Yeah, I'll watch that.
It's, you know,
I'll have to find it and show you what it is.
that is so,
It's so good,
funny.
though. Yeah.
We both have like our anime that has like 8 episodes of the same
sadness.
shit over and over.
Yeah, I've seen so many like that. I'm like, I gotta stop watching these.
Why do they do that?
They're affecting me.
It's honestly like a type of torture.
It
when
is,
an anime is so good, but it's
so
just doing the same episode over and over.
And like it's like what she realizes is never going to change unless she changes, so it's like really shadow working.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when I was hanging out or dating, if you want to say, this guy, he kind of brought me back to my inner child, which did a lot of healing because I realized like I got back to me. And when you're in this dynamic with a twin flame or a partner that you're healing from this. Once you do the healing work, you trigger the other person to do their healing work. And what I didn't realize was while I was going through this and tapping back into my inner child, like I really got into One Piece.
Yep.
I hated One Piece for the longest time, and now I'm into it, and I'm in it. Like, I'm in it. I'm at like episode 700.
Okay, I was about to ask what episode are you
700.
on?
So I'm like I'm right near the end of Dressrosa, I think.
Have you tried the live action?
I started to. Okay. He said, why don't you try the live action and see if you can connect with it? Because the first time I went to watch One Piece, I just see this dude with stretchy arms. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I just couldn't get into it back in the day.
Right.
So I watched one episode of the live action, and I was like, okay, you know what? I feel like I'm cheating on the anime. I can't do this. Like, so I went back, hooked. Immediately hooked. I was in it. I was like, I love this.
Yep.
Now I'm in it.
Yep.
So
I have not committed to One Piece. I've seen episodes of it, but I just like
I
because
mean,
it's so long.
So long. See,
And
I love long anime.
Everyone says that, and I'm just like everyone's like, oh, One Piece is just so long, and I hate that I am them. I am one of those people.
A lot of people are like that though. Like Bleach is a long one. I think I finished Bleach.
I always wanted to try Bleach.
Bleach was good. That's
Yeah.
a good one. I highly recommend.
Yeah.
But you also have to be into that kind. If you're not, like, whatever. But yeah, so he got me back into that part of myself, which brought a lot of healing, and it actually led me to be celibate for a year too. So not only
That's major.
yes, and I would never, if you would know my past.
Well, you
Girl.
said your love language. Your love language in itself said like physical touch.
Right.
So to be celibacy is an incredible journey for anyone.
Yes.
But for someone that led with sex and also was very physical touch dependent, that in itself is like an ego death.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So when I stopped drinking, that was an ego death. I think combined with the celibacy, but the celibacy wasn't intentional. It just happened because of the people that I meet through my journey. A lot of times I'll go through healing by meeting different people. And but I have to also know then when time is to let them go. That's also a lesson. So we were meant to connect for a certain amount of time, and then I was meant to let it go and kind of continue on my own. And then so he kind of helped me heal my inner child and that was the part of the feminine, the divine feminine within me that was wounded, like the wounded feminine, which kind of made my masculine come off more aggressive, where like I'd always feel like I needed to take the lead, because even back from, when I conceived my daughter and had to go through that alone, I always felt like I had to do it alone. I had to do everything alone, so I wasn't able to receive anything.
Yep.
Being in this dynamic with that person kind of shifted my energy, where I was able to then start understanding what receiving felt like.
Right.
And when that dynamic ended, I had to be able to choose my masculine to know, okay, this isn't for me. So I need to walk away from this, but in a more regulated, not aggressive manner. So essentially what was happening is I was healing myself from the inside on both sides, and understanding that I am a feminine. I'm a divine feminine, not a divine masculine like I originally thought, because I'm leading now and learning how to receive. So like, for those of you who don't understand, the divine masculine is the giving, the active one. There are a lot of actives.
The
They're fire. Assertive, the fire energy. And the feminine is water, receiving, that kind of thing. And when you're stepping into feminine energy, especially if you're a wounded feminine, it's really hard to understand or want to actively receive energy. Like, it's really, really hard, because your whole life you've had to assert yourself. You've had to do it alone. And when you start healing that part of yourself, that triggers, and that brings up a lot of triggers. And that's kind of where I am right now. When I reconnected with my masculine, I was at a really good place, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm feeling the call. And every time I feel the call to reconnect with him, I'm like, are you effing serious? Are we doing this again?
Yeah.
Please tell me we're not. And I'm just like, do it. I just keep getting the urge. And I'm like, okay, fine. F it.
It feels like such a loss. Like, because you try to hold strong to not contact.
Right.
And then to, like, be told, like,
no,
you
and
need.
And it's an inner calling that, like, an urge that, and what we resist persists.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm like, fine. I'm just going to do it. So I reached out, and he was open to having a conversation. And we video chatted, which was weird, because, like, he doesn't do that shit. And I was like, video chatting me. But what I came to find out was he had gone through his own journey the whole year that we were gone, that we were separated. Separation
tends to do that, where the twin flames typically separate to then do the personal development to get on the same wavelength again.
Yeah. So while I was doing my healing, he had gone through a little bit of a rebirth on his own, more in the physical. So in this woo-woo-y mindset, or woo-woo-y talk, the masculine is the more physical, the feminine is the more spiritual. So he was doing a lot of physical stuff, like he got kicked out of his apartment, he was homeless for a little bit, living in a motel, and then he had to move. And that kind of shifted his reality a lot. So when I talked to him, I could tell he was in a different space. And because I said to myself, if he's still in the same space where he's like drinking all the time, doing all of this, there's no way I can reconnect with that.
Right.
But he was in a different space, and I felt that immediately. And I was already ready to like reconnect the second we were on the phone. And then he dropped this bomb on me. And that's when I had a tower moment. He had told me that he was sleeping with someone for an entire year since we stopped talking. And I was like, and at that moment I was like, oh my God, I lost him forever. Like, I'm never going to get him back.
Right.
And that triggered me. Like, I was like, I can't connect with you. Like, I immediately wanted to be like, how dare you? You know what I mean?
Right.
How dare you?
This is supposed to be a divine union.
This is divine. What the hell are you doing?
You're telling me you're sleeping around with some karmic?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
That's how the way.
Now, okay, what I've come to realize, and the thing is, we were, in better layman's terms, we were both sluts, okay? So we've been there. Like, I don't judge him for sleeping around with people because I know our connection is something special. Like, so when he told me this, and he said, I think the worst part that he told me wasn't that he was sleeping with this person for this long, but that, like, he's like, well, it wasn't just like I'd kick her out. Like, we actually had a friendship. And I'm like, oh no, it's emotional. So I'm like, that's even worse. Because I'm like, do you love this? I'm like, well, no. He's like, right. No. And then he told me another bit of information, which I'm not going to release because it's not my business to tell. But I was like, what are you doing? Like, stop being dumb. And it just fell out of my mouth. And I was like, oh my God.
That is such a thing, because it's like when you find out that someone you really care about is like hooking up with someone and they don't necessarily love them. It's like, why are you intertwining your guys' energies like this? Like, like, I'm all for casual sex and I'm all for that. But like, there is at some point where you're just like, for a year? And it's like,
right. I was like, what the
at that point, it's like you guys are holding each other back from finding, I don't know, maybe someone that there might actually be something more with. And so it's excruciating to like hear that, especially with people who are in tune with how people affect your life. They affect your intentions. They affect your energy. And to be like intertwined just, for casually, for funsies, it's like,
it was so
for that
crazy
long.
because there was more to this story that made it even more mind-boggling to me, where you could easily see, and like, of course, I'm in human design, I like to overshare, and I always thought it was oversharing, but in human design, there's a thing called a self-projected projector, which is what I happen to be, and that's a soundboarding where I need to talk and hear myself to get answers. I mean, I'm not going to get too into human design, but it's important because that's how I get answers or understand things. And I would share this to my coworkers and they're like, oh, well, it's clearly like it was nothing. Like it was just taking up space kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I immediately thought too. And I was like, okay, well, and then in that part of my mind, I had decided, I'm like, okay, well, regardless of if we end up back together or not, I have to get him out of this dynamic because it's not healthy.
No.
And he knows it.
Yeah.
I could see it when I asked him about this person. I could see the light draining out of his face. Like, he knew, he was like, okay, this is where she doesn't talk to me anymore. And I was like, I had to make the conscious decision to be like, no, like, this is part of my journey now. Like, we're meant to be together. And that's when I knew. And I was like, okay. And that's when I made the conscious, intentional choice to be like, okay, this is the work. The work is starting right now because I know I'm going to be triggered by this fucker weekly.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's where we're at now. So I've intentionally chosen, I was with him last night and I was triggered.
Okay, so how long has it been since that reunite?
Not that long. We reunited pretty much the same time. It was the 11th, right after the election, I think it was.
Okay.
So 11, November 5th.
You're in the throes of it, girly. Got it.
So, and I mean, I've been doing this long enough with him to understand like what we're doing now. And what was crazy is that I thought it was going to be so much more work because I reached out to him. I thought he wasn't going to talk to me because I broke up with him last time. He was devastated. And I did not think he wanted anything to do with me. And like the second time we were talking, he's like, I kind of want to tell you I still love you. And I was like, you kind of want to, or you want to? And he's like, both. And I was like, okay. So I thought it was going to be so much harder to like get back in and to reconnect. But like, again, when it's meant for you, it will not pass you by. Like when the time is right, it will be right. And it's so funny because I tried to like push all this stuff in the past, like when we were together before, he wanted to like live together and I wasn't ready. And I'm just like, I don't know. And now I'm like, okay, I'm ready now. But it's like, there's still limits. So it's like, knowing what to do when kind of thing. So it's just like going with the flow.
Right.
Like just intentionally like working through the triggers, working towards what we want to do. And it's just I guess how I manage that is just my own healing.
Mm-hmm.
So like the TikToks, my business is all intentional for my own healing.
Right.
But it also helps other people. It's
Right.
all about helping other people. Like even my full-time job, like I'm a full-time single parent. Like my mom, I live with my mom. I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 next month.
Almost happy birthday.
Thanks. I'm old, but it's okay.
That's not old. That's not old. Don't say that.
So, and I live with my mom, and that was also something that I had to like come to terms with, of being okay with my journey, because it's like, what 40-year-old still lives with their parent? But it's like, I needed that in order to survive because of where I was and with my journey. And that's also now the next stage of my journey, is letting that go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm currently battling there with, it's a financial thing, but the thing that we need to learn to realize about money, and this is another thing right now that's huge, money is an energy exchange.
I literally just wrote on my blog post last night about intentional money, and not necessarily trying to tell people how to, become like a millionaire overnight. No, it was just about thinking about money as an energy that literally affects the world in just the small scope of your life, and then also how the world operates, like our politics. And
That's crazy.
It's a tough one.
Yeah. So Amy, who I spoke about earlier, she has, I've done a couple now classes that I've been drawn to, or courses I've been drawn to around money. I did hers when I was first getting into my awakening, and it's the light codes of money, and I think she's done another one since then. But that kind of was the first thing that I did that shifted my mindset around how to look at money. And I really haven't worried about money ever since I took that course. When I started shifting my mindset, it's all a mindset around it. And it goes back to like the law of attraction model of abundance, where like, if you keep thinking I have no money, you're not going to have any money.
Nope.
Like, change your mindset.
Right.
Like, you want to add, and this goes into manifestation and intentional manifestation, where like you want to tell the universe you have all of this. You want to think about what you want, what you have, and that way that's what comes in. But so I guess like that, my limitation right now, my belief system, I'm looking at like because when I look at apartments, I'm like, I can't afford this.
No.
Like, not to mention, like, I still need daycare for my kid if I work full time. Like, and I love my job, but it's all about changing your mindset on that, like manifesting other things. And so that's where I'm currently at.
And yeah, you're not going to prosper if you're feeling so down on yourself for the current situation. Like, truly, there are so many countries where generational households, like it's normal in most of other countries to be living with your parents, because they also are going to need people to care for them. And you are now like almost like the role reversal. So it's so sickening that in this country, we view it as not normal. We view it as unsuccessful. And also, we don't normalize growing older with our family. And so now people's, parents are getting put in homes and stuff, and they're having to age and approach their end of life alone. And everyone's got to do what works out for their family. And like, honestly, even my own mom, she's like, put me in a home. Yeah. Like she's like, I want to be in a home. And I'm like, okay. But
I told my mom, like, I can't handle you. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'll kill you.
But yeah, for you,
not really, but
for you to feel like trying to work on that belief of like, oh, I should be here by now and doing this. It's like, that in itself is such an intentional act of healing, because you are having to tell yourself like, no, I am worthy. I am doing great. I can be a business owner, badass single mother. Well, right now, reunited mother.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Right. while living with my mom, while still looking for apartments and figuring it out. And like in this economy, Jesus.
Yeah. And what's
like,
crazy is like okay, we're going to get on this. The government doesn't assist those that are helping themselves. That's really tough because according to assistance, I make way too much money.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I'm successful in my career, what I do right now. I would love to be able to quit and just do my healing stuff full time. But essentially, like what I do for business is, what I do for my full time job, I'm a store manager for, it's an umbrella corporation under L'Oreal. So like it's good.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
I work for Salon Centric. So that's how my hair looks like. That's gorgeous.
I know.
I do my own hair.
It is gorgeous.
It's actually very faded right now and I have to redo it, but I don't have time. But anyways, I love my job because I get to help people all the time. That's what I love to do. I love helping. Hence why I launched my business. It's all about others. But it's like I forget where I was going with that. But with that, it's like it's the government help. That's right.
Right.
So it's like you make too much money, but then you don't make enough for this. Like I have to pay for daycare. I have to pay I still pay rent. Like I pay for rent. I pay for like all this other stuff. And it's like, how do you do that? And I think a lot of people in general get overwhelmed with like all of that. And it's like, you have to accept help. And a lot of times people are embarrassed or don't want to accept help. So I accept help. I've learned a long time ago. That was part of my ego death when I was pregnant. I had to learn to accept the help. Like, listen.
I wrote about that on my blog too. That's so wild. I'm sorry. You were just like speaking all the things that like, I just like everything's like, I wrote that on my blog. I wrote that on my blog. Yes. About how you need to learn to accept help. We are meant to be pack animals. We are interconnected. We are social creatures. We are meant to help each other. Raising a child, it takes a village. Everyone says that.
Yes.
Honestly, like even me moving from Florida up here was because I was too isolated in Florida. And as much as it's gorgeous and I lived in a cute little cottage in the woods, I was lacking the community and like the help. I needed help and I had to learn to get uncomfortable and ask for it.
Yeah, and that sucks. A lot of people are embarrassed to ask for help. And that's, again, another shadow aspect that, like, you got to look at. And
yeah, that is self-sabotage. If you need help and you are not asking for help, that is not empowerment. That is self-sabotage. Seriously. If you are struggling right now with something and you know that you could get help, please get that help. Take this as a sign right now that you need to do that because you are meant to help people yourself and you are meant to be helped.
Yeah. So. And I can always tell people, so you can take this as a sign for me. If some people are like, I need a read or like, I need guidance. I'm telling you right now, if you need guidance and you need help, you can reach out to me and I will do a free, like 5-card read for you for free. Like I will do that all the time. Like I'll just randomly go on Facebook and be like, oh, look at this person. I'll like reach out and be like, hey, I don't know if you need this, but I'm feeling an urge to like, if you need something, I'm here. So it's like, that's what I do. I help. I'm not here to just make money. Now, the other part of the spiritual business that a lot of people are like, well, why are you charging? Because it's an energy exchange again. Money for service. It just is what it is.
Yeah. You have to pay for tarot cards. Right. You have to pay for the cell service recording and uploading. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's just an energetic exchange. Like my astrology services right now are probably the highest thing that I charge because it's a lot of work. Like it takes a lot to go in and you have to do a lot of research on that. And because it's like newer to me, I really have to pay attention to what's going into it, what I'm really picking up on, where my intention wants to go with it. So they're like my most expensive services I have right now, but, and I don't really have I have the program on my phone that I want to use, but I don't necessarily have it because I want to do them live essentially. But I don't have, and I have Zoom and all that. I just don't have the program on my Mac that I want to have. So once I get that, then I'll start doing them live. But right now, yeah. So I'm gonna do live astrology. And I'm gonna offer live astrology.
Your handle is TrishB Healing.
Yeah, my website is trishbhealing.com. So TrishB Healing HEALING.com. It's just my spider logo, and then if you click on the logo, it takes you to my services. Some of my stuff's not complete yet. I think my astrology ones are live, but I haven't had anyone purchase any of those yet. You can also just reach out to me on social media. Some people just go through Venmo. Like, they don't go through my website yet because I'm not, like, known enough. Yeah. So, like, but I'm at TrishB Healing on everything. TikTok, Instagram. I don't really post too much on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. Again, I do YouTube reads when called because they're usually pretty long, like an hour or so. My TikToks are, like, 10 minutes max because that's when it cuts you off. Yep. But yeah, I haven't posted on TikTok in a little bit, but that's because I'm integrating a lesson right now. So sometimes, and that's the other thing, growth doesn't always, you're not always growing. You're going to have to take times where you go through massive amounts of growth and then
integration.
Integration is important, and that's where you kind of start understanding everything that you're learning. So with me reconnecting with, you know, my twin recently, that's a lot of integration work. So I've been called, and I did a tarot reading up for myself about this recently because I was like, should I be posting content? Like, I haven't posted anything. Should I be? And the cards literally were like, no, like, this is a time for you to be present in the moment and just work on this, because this you going through this and you moving through this period is going to lead you to something else. And it's all about, like, this connection right now, your integration, you're being present with this connection will lead to greater things. Right. And I'm like, okay, so I'm supposed to be present right now and not create content and not be there for other people, but be there for myself at the moment.
Right. And that is, you know, a huge thing that I talk about is being mindful, is being intentional, right? You had the mindfulness of, like, okay, I need to integrate. I need to be with myself. I can't be generating content and thinking about all these different things, all these different people, because I have things that I am processing right now. And that is intention. And, like, as someone who is juggling, raising your child, doing your full-time job, doing your business, your healing business, which is a very, like, healing and especially shadow work, that's a heavy emotional load and, like, an energetic load. Even though it does feel so effortless, it still takes effort. Yeah. And so for you to have the awareness of yourself, like, I need to, like, intentionally rest, I need to intentionally step back, that is incredible. Because here, you know, we talk about, like, you have to check in with yourself. You have to be mindful, because if you don't, you will burn out. And if you want a dream life isn't all hustle struggle. It's not. A dream of life, a well-rounded life, it requires rest. It requires mindfulness of your limits, of where you're at and what your threshold is right now and what your bandwidth is. And I talk about that all the time on my platform, where it's just like, you need to be able to tell yourself, I deserve a day to sleep in. And that's a huge thing. I have a massive issue with a lot of courses and coaches right now, because they're all about the hustle culture. Like, no days off. No, that's not sustainable. That's not realistic, right? Here we do the realistic intentionality. You need to be real with yourself. You deserve that rest. Right. You deserve that healing for yourself, because now when you come back, you're going to be glowing. Yeah. You're going to be radiant. Yes. You're going to be fucking ready to
just
go.
Just like going to the gym too. Yeah. Like, so one practice that I put in is that during COVID, I lost a lot of weight because I was able to focus on myself. And what's happened is it's gradually come back. But
you look gorgeous. I don't know. And also, if you're approaching 40, you look you do not look 40. Youthful.
I know, no one tells me I do.
I know. Thanks. Yeah, I meant to say that earlier, but then the moment passed. But no, you look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So one thing that I've learned to do, I don't know if any of you have heard of, what the hell is that thing called? It's a hoop. Like a little hoop thing. I don't know. It has, like, a weight attached to it.
Oh, like a hula hoop.
kind of, but it's not a hula hoop. I forget what they call it. Shit. I can't remember what it's called.
It's like the new shake weight, but
kind of.
Okay.
But you wear it around your waist and it has a weight, and then you like hoop with it.
Ah.
I love that thing. It's amazing. Okay, so
awesome.
I've integrated my anime obsession into my working out at night. So, and I've also
Ooh.
learned about
That's intentional, guys.
intentional.
Right. That's having fun and doing the thing you need to at the same time.
Yeah, so I try to every night, and I do it at night, like, because that's when I have time. That's like my alone time that I get, because I need a lot of alone time.
Right.
So once I put my daughter to bed, I'll go into my room and I will work out for like an hour and a half. Now, sometimes does that compromise my sleep? Yes, but whatever. But sometimes I'm like, I really should work out tonight, but I'm way too tired. So like, I just won't work out.
Right. That's
I'm like,
listening
it's
to
listening
yourself.
to your body,
Yes.
listening to what you need, because you want to keep a practice, but at the same time, if it's like affecting your own self-wellness, that's not something you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just finding those little niches where you can fit mindful activity, intentional activity into your day.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is, I started doing in the morning. I'm a coffee drinker. I gave up alcohol. I need something.
Yeah. That's usually how it goes.
Right. So right now, my next intention is trying to cut out sugar. And I don't really do that much processed sugar, but I'm an avid drinker of like coffee meat, and I need to stop. Like, it's not good. So I'm actively now trying to find a substitute for like sugar that like I can still enjoy my coffee, because I love it so much. So, but one thing I started doing, because my joints are starting to hurt, pre-arthritic, if you will. I found out that my twin, actually, he's really into this like nutrition kick thing. Like, he's always has been. And he told me that ginger is really good for arthritis. So what I do now in the morning is I'll do ginger, lemon, and hot water. And I do that before.
I had a period of that too.
Yeah, I'll do that before I drink anything else. And it kind of like, I also take like a trebiotic. Like, I also do a side business for Modere. And Modere is amazing. They have a lot of products. Just plugging Modere for a second. But if you guys are interested, I think with my code you can get like 20% off or something. Your first purchase. Do amazing like wellness products that are all made in the US. And one thing I avidly love from them, they have liquid collagen, which is amazing. And they do a trebiotic, which is a pre, post, and probiotic all in one.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think I heard post-probiotic.
No, it's everything.
Postbiotic.
Yeah, pre, post, and pre.
Wow.
It's everything all in one, and I love it.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so I've started, like, I've done a lot of their products, and I've narrowed down the ones that I really, really love, and that is one. Now, their stuff's a little bit more pricey, but honestly, it's all natural stuff that's in it. So I'm like, okay, I'll sacrifice it. Right. Because I do like it. Right. So
you're supporting the brand that you're obviously helps people.
Like, I love Modere. It's great. It's just, I'm not one of those that'll, like, I'm not going to tell someone to buy something that's not going to help them. Right. Like, if someone wants it, I'm going to share it. But if they don't, I'm not pushing it on you. Right. It's not. Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. So, but like, if anyone wants to try it, reach out to me and I'll give you my code. You can get a discount. So yeah, I do that now in the morning, and it helps my joints. So if anyone's suffering from arthritis, ginger lemon water, it's amazing.
You can also add turmeric.
Yeah, I want to add turmeric.
Yep.
Yes, I do want to do that. I just haven't gotten any yet.
Yeah.
I want to add turmeric.
Yeah, I constantly will buy it, and then I then use it to dye clothes. It's like I always mean to consume it, but then if I have something that like gets a stain, I'm like, oh, because I love the color that it dyes things.
It's like that rusty orange, right?
Yeah, or like it can, like, depending on how long you soak it, it could also be like a light canary yellow if I wanted, or a mustardy yellow. Oh,
like
or
less
orange.
Like less soaking.
And every time I buy it, I end up like dumping a bunch of it in a pot.
That's
and like
intentional.
Yeah, I mean,
intentional clothing.
Yeah, it's me. I'm like that kind of person, because I love like every kind of like health fad that there is. I like stay doing them, and like the turmeric is just like insanely good for you. So
it is.
Like...
That's why I did tell my partner, because he juices now. That's his new thing. He juices, and we're really anal about water, and he just bought a water distiller. Like he has this really expensive freaking what's it called? Filtration system.
Like an RO unit.
Yeah. He has this really expensive Berkey filter, and like yeah, okay, yeah. But then he got this. Yeah, he loves it. He's had it for years, but then he gets this distiller, and I'm like, what are you going to do with the Berkey? And he's like, well, so now what he does is he runs the distilled water through the Berkey, and I'm like, this tastes just like my zero water filter. So like, get yourself a zero water filter, because it tastes exactly the same, but the distiller initially is more expensive, but is really good. It's cheaper in the long run. But I'm like, guy.
Yeah. I love that. You guys even put intention with your water.
Yes.
I love
We're
that.
so weird about water.
No, I honestly relate. Like when I make pasta, my partner's always like, "Oh, just use tap water." I'm like,
no.
I cannot.
No. I'm on your level.
No.
No.
I can't do it. And like it's my compulsive thinking.
Yeah.
My compulsive thinking is so difficult with food. It's created many body issues. I've spoken about it on my old platforms and stuff, like, because I'm so compulsively thinking about the food, the water, like everything I consume. I just can't. There's just like some things that like I just can't. Like I just got myself to like be okay with like I will eat an Oreo, but like for a while I wouldn't.
Really? Oh, I wish I had that.
I
will eat a half a bag of Oreos.
Dude, well, now, I'm getting there, but like literally I went a decade without having soda. Like not even a sip.
I mean, I can get behind that. I hate it.
Right.
Now.
But now I do Olipop.
What is that?
Do you not know what Do you know what Poppy is?
No.
Oh my god.
No.
Trish. What? This is going to be the viral clickable moment that I'm going to like clip and just be like, what? This bitch doesn't know Olipop or Poppy?
What is that?
Dude, they're pro and prebiotic sodas.
Shut up.
The Poppy has apple cider vinegar in it.
Yes.
And then the Olipop has like the natural marshmallow that's actually good for your gut, like as the sweetener. And they're in like, there's like the Walmart.
Shut the fuck up. I'm going to have to tell my partner. I don't know if he's aware of this.
Some have caffeine. So like the Coke, the Dr.
I'm down
Peppers,
with the caffeine.
Yeah, they have caffeine. It tastes similar enough to Coke, I think. There's people that do taste tests and they're like, but like for what it is, it tastes like Coke. It's got the fizzy. It's got the color.
Shut the fuck up. I'm looking into
No,
this.
it's like non-GMO. Like it is good.
So wait,
shit.
Is this like a natural sweetener?
I think they might use stevia or they might use cane sugar. Like look into that.
So one thing. Okay. My daughter is ADHD, and I did not want to put her on medicine, but I had to. But my boyfriend, we're not like technically together yet. My twin, he is avidly like, I don't want any sugar, blah blah blah, because he's a no sugar person, and that's kind of like I'm on that same level. I get it.
Yeah.
And with her with the ADHD, she shouldn't have any sugar.
Right.
So if there's an alternative that I don't know about that I could try with her, because she does like soda and I don't let her have it.
Oh,
look at this.
Oh, I got you. I can't believe you don't.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, so there's Poppy, and that one has apple cider vinegar, so I'm
going to try that one.
That one would probably be good for you, but Olipop is more of like
regular.
Me and my son, we just like split Olipops all the time.
Yeah, oh my god, I'm going to have to look into
They have them at like
everywhere.
Walmart.
I'm going to look into it.
Yeah. I think they were both Shark Tanks. At least Poppy was on Shark Tank, and they're doing good. And
oh my god, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah. No, I got you. Because, like, I'm all about the realistic intentions. So I'm like, me just, like, not giving myself treats was not realistic.
Yeah.
So now I just opt for, like, the better, like, the more ethical and also the more healthy.
Yeah, I love that. No, I love that. Because that's what I'm trying. Like, I'm going towards that. And, like, he's a juicer. So, like, he's all about that health crap. Like, he'll put turmeric in everything. And I'm like, okay, but
that's like my partner with ginger.
Yeah, he does it with ginger too.
Yeah,
everything gets ginger. I'm like, can we stop?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
That's so funny. But yeah, I love that. And I love these intentions you're setting. Like throughout this, you've just been like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Like you are on it.
Woo-hoo!
And like, I can just tell you are about to be like, not only are you about to be drinking killer ass soda. Okay. If there's anything
healthy
I can
soda,
do,
guys. You
No!
heard it here.
you're going to do amazing. Once you're back to doing your content creation, you're going to be wicked, like just on top
Bam,
of
bam,
it.
bam, bam.
You're doing shit with your twin flame. That's awesome. I'm gonna try to like put out the energy that the reunion can actually like be growing. It seems like
It is this time.
he sounds like he's in a good place. I mean, juicing in itself.
Yeah, it's funny. He's like standing over his juicer being like, yeah, you have to like be all healthy smoking a cigarette and drinking a beer. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my,
we're there.
duality.
Yeah.
you go.
He embodies duality to no avail.
Listen, tobacco is a
It
plant
is.
medicine. Dude, when I did ayahuasca,
I want to do ayahuasca.
I did ayahuasca.
that?
It was a small amount, and it was not in a facilitated place.
Oh, shit.
It was a friend of mine brought over a
That's intense.
batch of ayahuasca. Wow. Yeah, it was definitely like not the kind of scenario that I promote at all. I'm always like, use psychedelics therapeutically, and then I did ayahuasca in my apartment. But no, it was crazy. I did a small amount, so it wasn't open-eyed visuals, and it wasn't full out of body, but it's more like closed-eyed visuals. And I like connected with like tons of like animals and
That's
like,
cool.
yeah, it was really incredible. And so when I did the ayahuasca, I hadn't smoked cigarettes in years. And then my friend that I did it with, he was like, oh, I'm going to roll like a tobacco. The tobacco spirit helps with the ayahuasca. And it did. And it was like a ceremonious thing. So, just maybe he can just connect with tobacco in an intentional way, as almost,
yeah, that's a good idea.
yeah, you can just be like, hey, you should like roll your own if he doesn't already, and tell him that it's like, hey, that's a plant medicine.
So is alcohol technically, like tequila,
Mhm.
if you're doing stuff like that. It's just don't do too much.
Yeah,
Don't drink too much.
that's the thing with even like, a lot of people are now on the advocacy for putting the plants back in plant medicine, because since cannabis got decriminalized, now it's all extract and like the pens and the carts and or super concentrates like the dabs, and they're kind of like, people are starting to say like, okay, you're not actually getting the effect and all of the chemicals and compounds you're supposed to, because you're not combusting the plant.
Right?
Yeah,
You're losing the essence.
right. There's something kind of missing. There's a disconnect, and so people are like abusing it more and like are having weird effects from it. So I'm all for putting the intention back in plant medicine, whether it's, I guess we could say sugar, I mean tobacco, the cannabis, whatever. Like, put the plant, put the intention in anything, truly. Like, and I'm all about the realistic intentions. So, for whether it's your partner, like saying a really nice affirmation while rolling a cigarette for him to, smoke while doing his juice.
I'm gonna tell him this. It's
No.
gonna be amazing.
Yeah, listen, I'm not gonna tell someone to not do something. Like, do what you feel in your heart you should do. Just put intention to it.
Yeah, and you can't change it overnight.
Yeah.
It's just setting intentions and
Realistic.
Yeah. Realistically expecting, like, just like people that go on a weight loss journey, you're not going to do it overnight. It's not going to happen like that. Like your fitness journey. Like, and a lot of times, even in like the fitness kind of weight loss, kind of building muscle, you're going to build the muscle over the fat first. So you're going to weigh more at first.
Yep.
So like, don't get discouraged or anything. It's just like anything like that. Don't get discouraged if you don't see results, because it doesn't happen overnight with anything.
Right.
Like, just keep at it. Keep the intention. Keep the mindfulness, and just keep working at it.
Same with healing.
Yeah,
Even if you get a big ass like tower moment where you get hit in the face with some shadow work.
But that's growth. That's good.
It will happen suddenly, but the process of unraveling that and dealing with it is an everyday process of transmuting it. If you feel triggered by that trauma or that core like issue, you take the mental moment to be like, that's just that. I know what it is, and I can do this about it.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Well, TrishB,
This is so fun.
thank you so much for coming. You can come on anytime.
Yes, I'll come anytime.
We have seriously so many things we can talk about. You know, and I am so grateful
I know, me too.
that like this aligns, and
We connected.
Yes,
I know, I love this.
this is amazing. And so thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for doing this. Everyone, please look up TrishB Healing. She is amazing for tarot, shadow work, astrology.
Pretty much anything.
Yeah.
I do one called a synergy session, which is astrology and a little bit of human design together. So it's just hit me up and we'll work it out. You want something, you need something, and we'll figure it out.
And be on the lookout, because I have a feeling TrishB is gonna figure out a system that implements it all in easy, digestible ways. That's gonna be incredible, and that is gonna be paradigm shifting in just even the healing community.
Yeah.
You are gonna
It's literally in my astrology chart that I meant to do something like that.
Yes.
It is.
No, you're gonna do it. You're gonna make huge change. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that we are now friends.
Yes,
and
I
get
know,
to
me too.
witness that. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Realistic Intentionality. Please keep up with TrishB. Keep up with all our platforms. I love you. I think you are incredible. I think you are destined to have the life you dream of. I know you can do it. Take the moment to know within yourself that you are capable, you are worthy. The rest of your day is going to be amazing when you carry this energy with you. Embody your dreams, embody your intentions. You can do it. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Bye.
Bye.